It's 12 noon. We're live on City Line. Hi, I'm Jackie Hall.
And I'm B.T. Bentley. What happens when a successful lawyer marries an Army lieutenant or a doctor marries a nurse? Do they decide to marry until death do they part?
Are they constantly juggling their two careers and their marriages?
Today on City Line, we'll find out what happens when couples try to keep work and love together.
Joining us are the Wattses and the Stokeses. Both will share their trials and tribulations of the two-career marriage.
Providing decent, affordable housing for low-income Baltimoreans. I'm T. Montier, and today on Newscap, we take a look at an ambitious program that addresses that issue.
Hi, Harold Anthony here. Ever wonder what happened to the group Shalimar? Well, I'll update you on one of the founding members when I return with Jody Watley on today's entertainment page.
Also today on City Line, we'll get an update on City Line's weight loss challenger, Kashun Colbert.
Determined to take off over 300 of his 500 pounds, Kashun will tell us what success he's had over the past 6 months. But first, we'll explore the two-career marriage, this and more, here, live on City Line.
And good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of City Line. We went through a whole year's worth of weather this week.
This is the weirdest thing, isn't it?
Last week we were out bathing in the sun, and this week we were almost ready to shovel some more snow.
I know, and I'm feeling the results of it, too. I think I took off too fast, and now I have to put it back on, and I'm catching a cold.
We won't ask what we took off here. This week, we're talking about a subject that I guess we've touched on before, but never really looked at directly, and that is two-career marriages. And we have two lovely couples with us today that are going to share with us some of their experiences and give us an idea of what it's like to share two different walks of life or places to go in the morning. Starting from left to right is Lieutenant Claude Watts. Next is his wife, Vicki Ballou Watts, who's an attorney. And seated next to her is Dr. John Stokes, an MD, and finally Deidre Stokes, a registered nurse. Welcome to City Line. You're still together. I mean, that in itself these days is a major plus. Well, tell us a little bit about how you two manage to keep things going.
Well, basically, our morning starts early. I'm usually gone by 5 every morning. Mm-hmm. And when I get to work, I usually call her just to check, make sure she gets up. And what we do is we just try to spend as much time as we can together whenever the time is available, mm-hmm. because the day is pretty long. We usually get home about 7:30, and before you know it, it's time to go to bed again and get up tomorrow, the next day to go to work. So spending as much time together as possible and trying to make that quality time.
But Vicki, is it a major juggling act, though, trying to keep marriage and job and all of your own personal needs in tow and in order?
Yes, it is. It doesn't seem like there are enough hours in the day. But as Claude says, our days begin early, and we usually get home around 7:30. I come straight in and cook, and before you know it, it's time to go to bed. So we really don't get to spend that much time together. And sometimes if I have meetings in the evenings, I'm going to get home maybe 10:30, or he may have some commitments with the military. So sometimes I feel like I'm really not getting to see him or talk to him as much as possible. So he does call me, or I'll call him. So we try to fit it in where we can.
You know, John and Deidre, now, while both of you are involved in medicine, I understand you don't work anywhere near each other.
No, not even close. At two centers on opposite ends of town. Mm-hmm. I would think that the biggest advantage that we have is that we can indeed relate to what the other one is going through. So okay. A good bit of what I can discuss in the afternoon, she understands. I don't have to explain the inside part of what I'm trying to say to her.
Mm-hmm. And Deidre, no, you said it jokingly before, but do you really think that it's better that you don't work together?
I do.
Why so?
Because you really do need some time away from each other, and when you get back together, you tend to enjoy that time a little bit more. And then when you work together, you see other sides, you know. And when you work together as doctor and nurse, he's usually the boss and you're not.
The complete opposite from what it is at home.
So I don't know how that, I don't know how that will work because we've never really done it before. So it's kind of best that, that we don't exactly work that close together.
Leave some mystery in.
Yes. We're going to invite our home audience into our conversation. Call us at 481-1313 if you have questions or experiences you'd like to share with our guests today. Now, let me ask, what do you deliberately decide to divide up housework, for instance, so that the two of you are working outside of the home? I see some inside laughs here. But when you get back to your base of operation, your home, do you decide that one will cook and one will clean and one will market and so forth?
That's exactly how we do it. We'll sit down and she said, okay, I'll cook, you wash the dishes, you take care of the yard, I'll take care of the inside.
It wasn't always that way.
Well, it's gotten to that point because at times she said, I'm doing everything, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm washing the car.
Or you're watching TV.
Or I'm watching TV, especially during this time of year. But it works out where it comes to be about 50-50. I do most of the shopping for the groceries. I'll go over to the commissary and do the shopping. She'll stay at home and clean up. We'll get back, then I have to put everything away. And if there's a sink full of dishes, I have to wash the dishes. So it works out where it's 50-50.
Now we want to hear what John has to say since the male is giving his part of the housework.
It's an unwritten law that whoever does the cooking does not have to do the dishes. I don't think it's fair to have to cook and do the dishes. So yeah, most of the time the washing I will do because slyly that gives me a chance to sit in the basement listening to music while the clothes are being washed. The yard is basically my responsibility and Dee handles the bills. So.
And that works out satisfactorily?
Yeah, well, basically, John has no demands. So it's not, my dinner has to be ready by the time I get home, and, I expect the bed to be made, and I expect all the laundry to be done, so it works out very well. Neither one of us likes to clean, so it's real nice that both of us work, so we have someone else do that. Oh, so that helps out tremendously, because I've always been in school all the way through our marriage, in addition to working full-time.
Right, so we're going to find out a little bit more about that housework division, but we're going to take a break right now. We'll be back in just a minute. Stay with us.
Two-career marriage, can they, do they work, right? Can they / do they work? And our couples here are here to tell us whether or not they do work and do work well. Do you ever get, I'm going to just throw this to the guys right now, do you ever get a little resentful of the fact that your wives have jobs outside and maybe at one time or another doing quite well and maybe better than you yourselves?
No.
No.
Okay.
I have no problems with that at all. I'm happy that she's out there. I've wanted a woman who wanted a career, wanted to be independent, do things on her own, have dreams, aspirations, and plus she makes a lot of money, so I'm not mad about that.
What about you, John?
By the same token, I was looking for a woman who was going to be relatively independent, who was going to be able to go out and do for herself, because that then removes a lot of the responsibility of the financial things that she wants to do from me. So that, yeah, if she wants to go out and buy clothing or has a place that she wants to go, something she wants to do, free to do that.
Let me flip it. Vicki, do you ever get a little resentful of the fact that you may have two jobs, that you work outside and inside?
Well, sometimes I think about it and I say, gee, I'm getting tired of spending my only day, my Saturday, doing housework. But, for example, this Saturday, I had a meeting to go to, and Claude's parents were coming over, and I didn't want the house to be messed up. So I asked him, I said, well, will you please clean up while I'm gone for the meeting? And he consented. And I was amazed when I got back home.
Amazed.
So-
I always do a good
He
job.
normally doesn't do well. is that-
No, I'm not saying that. I don't want to get in trouble. He'll never do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Deidre?
Well, it's interesting that I've enjoyed nursing to a point, and I enjoy getting out there. I'm enjoying also right now that I work 4 days a week, so it gives me another day off. But since being off, you know, I'm taking a class. There's always something to do, going to the doctor. So I'm still very, very busy, and I like the activeness, and I love the independence.
We've asked our audience at home to join us and see what they have on their minds. Hello, you're live on City Line.
Yes, I'd like to know. I am a chemist, and I often contemplate on think about marrying into the profession. I'd like to know, had either of the couples thought about marrying into that another professional beforehand?
There you go. Did you give any conscious thought beforehand into marrying another professional?
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of it specifically, but if I were going to particularly look for a professional, I did want someone who is at least interested in a portion of medicine, because there's an awful lot of what I come home burnt out about that I can't explain to another person. It's something that you have to kind of experience to understand it.
Okay, now you two didn't marry into the same profession, but you did marry professionals. Was that conscious?
Not really, no.
No, I think just the opposite, that I am glad that I'm not married to another attorney. I think that we'd really be going to blows, you know. But it's true that another attorney would understand some of the things, but it's also good to have a mate who is not in the profession. For example, I may come home and I want to try out a jury argument to Claude, and as a layperson, he can give me that perspective. Another attorney might be too analytical about it. And so it's good to have someone who is not in the same profession as a mate.
I play judge quite a bit. I'll be sitting there and she'll say, just let me present my argument to you. And I'll just go, guilty, 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 just to irritate her.
But John and Deirdre, do you find, though, that because you are somewhat in the same field, that perhaps you're a little too enmeshed in it too often?
No, because for us, it's a large part of your life. It's a large part of what you do. You unfortunately cannot turn it off because of the kind of profession that it is. So a lot of it does come home to you. And I have dated people that were not in the medical profession, and in order to get to the meat of the story, you have to bring them from A to say M, and then you can go to the rest.
Medicine.
Yeah, which is, and it takes a much longer time. And by that time, the point, it's just not worth making the point anymore.
You forgot why the story was
Yeah, right. Why am I saying this?
And there have been times that we would have had plans to go somewhere at a certain time, you know, and I was coming home and there was an accident, you know, and I stopped. And so she understands that.
She understands.
Because I don't stop being a doctor when I'm not at work.
Okay, let's go to our home phones again. Hello, you're live on City Line.
Yes, my question is, my wife and I are having problems due to the fact, well, one of the major problems is I work 7 days a week, and not by choice, and we argue a lot over nitpicking stuff, you know, over nothing really. And she has more or less decided to leave me and won't talk about it, and one of the problems is lack of communication. How could we go about trying to remedy that situation? And she's believing hearsay from other people saying that I'm running around on her and stuff to that effect.
Well, let me ask the caller a question first. Can you and your wife disagree? Can you agree to disagree without coming to blows or going for each other's throats? Can you disagree with what she says, or she disagree with what you say, and you still be friends about it? That's the key to the communication idea. Everybody says
sometimes.
Communicate, but if you express an unpopular idea and the other person jumps down your throat, the lines of communication are closed instantly, and that part doesn't work.
Well, a lot of times I bring my work home, which I shouldn't, because I'm in the printing profession and she's in the, she's a nurse's aide.
Okay, well, no, I'm sure that we're not professionals here on that matter, but what sorts of things would you suggest if you saw that type of situation perhaps arising with you, if you weren't seeing enough of each other, if you weren't communicating. What would you do to kind of correct that?
Well, one thing I would do, now I don't have a situation where I have to work, I have to go into the office 7 days a week, but what I do is I have meetings a lot of times and I have to bring work home sometimes. If there's a meeting that I'm scheduled to attend and I know that it's not vital, then I'll just say, hey, I want to spend time with my husband. This is more important. And so you have to learn how to budget your time and cut certain things out that aren't vital, and that's one of the ways. And another way, you might laugh, but if they're really having those kind of problems, they might need a neutral third party, such as a marriage counselor, to be a sounding board and get some feedback that way.
And caller, again, as BT said, we're really not in a position to offer advice over the air because we really don't have enough details, nor are we qualified to do it. But something that Claude said you may want to consider, it has to do with quality time with your mate. It may not be 5 days out of 7, but perhaps the time you do spend is of a quality nature, which allows you to just simply enjoy each other. And the other part of it is to seek a neutral party for advice, if you're willing to do that. We hope that you're still listening, and we wish you the best in that.
Let's try another call from home. Hello, you're live on City Line.
Yes, hi. This is Mr. Joyner. This question is for Dr. Stokes. I want to say that Dr. Stokes is an excellent doctor. This is Mr. Joyner, Dr. Stokes. You remember?
Yes, indeed, I do, sir.
And if I know he's good in the hospital, in the clinics, and I know he's just as good as at home. So Mrs. Stokes.
You just says yes, you're right.
Thank you,
Dr. Stokes, if you want to elaborate on what happened, you can do so.
Oh, thank you, Mr.
He's an excellent doctor, and he definitely deserved the Channel 13 award.
Okay, well, thank you for that testimony.
I took care of this gentleman one night when I was moonlighting emergency up at Providence Hospital. Interesting story that I can't really say anything about even with his permission because it is indeed privileged information.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to continue our conversation on the 2 career marriages. We're going to take a break.
About 2 career marriages and trying to get a little insight into the good and bad side of that endeavor. You have a question or comment from our
Yes,
studio?
I have a question for the Stokeses. I can see that she's with child. And my husband and I are 2 career marriage, and we're raising children also. And I'd like to know, how do you plan to juggle that, raising a family and having 2 careers?
I'm not sure we've planned it out totally. Fortunately, we have family that live in Baltimore, both sides, because both of us are from Baltimore, and we're hoping that that will be a help. And after the baby is born, I don't plan to immediately go back to work, so that will give me some time to adjust to having a child and getting used to the child, and then planning a program. You know, and I've talked to friends about babysitters and things like that, so I'm at least working on it, but we don't have a sketch yet.
But do you intend to continue working even after the child?
Yeah, after I stay home for a while, you know, a couple of months or so with it, then yes.
What consideration have the Watsons given to children?
Well, we're planning to start our family this year. You know, start working on it anyway. And we've talked about that, and I guess we can just have to take things as they come, but we're lucky enough to have family in the area who will help us.
Now, are you by chance familiar with the statistic that half of the 2 career marriages end in divorce?
I'm very familiar with it.
Does it create any added undue stress on you because you have a 50-50 chance of not making it?
No, it doesn't bother me at all because Claude and I have known each other a long time before we got married, and he is my best friend. And you mentioned during the break that you saw that we had a sense of humor, and we really do. So I don't worry about statistics. I just look at our marriage and we work at it. We're partners, and we just do our best to make it work.
Okay, BT in the audience again.
We have another 2 career couple here. Any questions or comments you might like to add to what our couples here are saying?
Yes, I have a question to the Watsons. With your dual careers, and it seems like it could be hectic at times, how do you fit in your extracurricular activities?
Well, all of our activities are limited to the weekend. We don't plan anything during the course of the week unless it's absolutely necessary. Mondays are definitely out for me because I'm in school again, and there are times when she has certain meetings that she has to attend. So on Friday night, all day Saturday and Sunday, that belongs to us, and we do with it whatever we choose. If we don't want to see anybody, we'll just stay at home and be, act like hermits and enjoy the time together, or we'll go and visit some of our friends or catch a movie or something to that nature.
What about for the Stokeses?
Well, it's interesting that you would bring that up because as we looked at the schedule a little bit earlier, every weekend through the end of next month is already occupied with something. So yeah, there's a certain percentage. The other thing that we usually end up doing is set aside a piece of every evening, even if it's only for that time that you're just laying in bed together, to express whatever grievances, difficulties, get them out into the open before they end up becoming a problem. Sometimes you harbor things that you don't know are a problem until it's brought up, and the other person responds. It's, yeah, that's the way you felt about that other thing.
Let me ask you two, how do you manage to get some time together?
Well, it's very hard. I'm an architect, and my wife is a computer operator. And in our extra time, I'm pretty much doing a lot of things. So one thing about the Watsons that mentions the communication. You must communicate. And a lot of times I do bring my work home, and she's pretty much the client there, and I present my project to her, and she said I'm sold, so it works out pretty well there.
Are you honest when you tell him you're sold?
Oh, yes, and I appreciate the fact that he does bring it home. I'm one that likes to have my husband at home with me, especially on the weekends, and I like the fact that he does bring that work home with him,
So
instead of staying at the office.
You two find that weekends are particularly important to you?
Exactly.
Very, very important.
Okay, good luck to you.
Okay.
Okay, we have a call from home. Let's take that now. Hi, caller. You're on City Line live.
Yes. Speak now?
Yes, please. Go ahead. You're on the air.
My name is Wally Uka, and Dr. Stokes, I'm calling you. Good afternoon.
How you doing, sir?
Theatre, good afternoon. And host and other guests. We're trying to find, one of the questions that I wanted to present to Dr. Stokes had already been presented to him in reference to additions to his family. So I'm calling just to say, hang in there, and eventually he'll get that BMW.
Okay. Thank you, caller.
And Rashida said hello.
Thank you, caller. You know, I'm getting the feeling that the Stokeses have a fan club out there that are calling in.
This is another two-career family that just had a baby. That's a good friend of mine, so the wife is. And so she's been an inspiration and full of ideas.
And his wife works with me, so.
Okay. Now, let me ask you now, you have not been married that long, either of you.
No.
But aren't you a little bit still on the honeymoon phase of this? And that if you had been married 12 years, 18 years, we could assess it.
Wouldn't it be nice if the honeymoon phase could continue? We don't know we don't know if this is the honeymoon phase or if it's just going to be this way. We're still having fun.
That's the way I feel because Vicki and I have known each other since college. I mean, we've been together 7 years, okay? And to me, it's always been the same. And I feel that it'll be that way forever. And that's the way I look at it. Because, as she was saying earlier, she is my best friend. And I believe we don't have a lot of problems communicating because when I come home from work, there's something bothering me, she knows it. And so we'll talk about it. Or in the opposite situation, if something's bothering her, she'll come home and she'll say whatever she has to say to me. And that makes me appreciate what she does, and it helps her appreciate what I do.
I know you probably don't want to dispense advice over the air, but you're successful at it so far. You've talked about the communication. You've also talked about being friends. What other points do you think help you to make it work so well?
You need to set priorities. I mean, it becomes very important as to what is important to you. And family must come first. I mean, it's the backbone through all else. And when everything else is failing, when the heat is really picking up outside of the home, you need family. And to set that priority and make sure that there's special time and that you understand each other becomes very important.
Let me ask you, again, it's only been a short time for the most part in terms of being actually married, but are there any obstacles that you've considered, you've been talking about, that you haven't found solutions to yet? I mean, are you telling us that everything that you've considered about your lives and how you're going to live them in the future has been settled, or are there still things that you're still trying to work out and reach common ground on?
Well, the biggest if in our picture right now is if I go back into residency for emergency medicine, then that's going to be a true strain. The hours are going to be as ridiculous as they were for the earlier part of residency that I did. The income is going to be cut by a little bit more than half. And with a family member that's going to demand continuous attention, it's going to be interesting.
Well, we thank you all for coming to City Line and sharing your marriages, your careers, and good luck to you with the new baby. We wish you continued luck. It's been very good today.
Good luck with yours on the drawing board.
Thank you for being with us. We're going to take a break and come right back, so please stay tuned.
I'm T. Montier. Coming up on Newscap, we take a look at an ambitious program for low-income housing.
And still to come, a lady who made her public debut at the tender age of 8 with the legendary Jackie Wilson. Jody Watley has the spotlight on today's entertainment page.
And we'll also check in with Kashum Colbert to get an update on his weight loss program. All this and much more coming up on City Line.
Good afternoon. Topping today's newscap, the housing facts of Baltimore City. More than 40,000 families await some form of housing assistance here in Baltimore. 20% of those families in the metropolitan area earn less than $10,000. Many pay more than 50% of their income for badly deteriorated, unfit housing. Federal programs for housing low-income people have been largely eliminated, and the resources that are available to finance housing through state or local funds are focused on people of moderate income. One of the questions raised by these facts is what happens to the person of low income who is in need of decent, affordable housing? Does he or she or that family fall through the cracks? One such program that addresses this issue is the Enterprise Loan Fund, of which Mimi Waxter is the coordinator, and she joins us now. Ms. Waxter, we want to thank you for taking this time with us this afternoon. You've heard the facts. How desperate is the need for low-income housing here in Baltimore City?
Well, there is a great need in Baltimore City and also in some of the metropolitan counties. I think there's a need everywhere. And we have been concerned about the cutback in federal funds, and we're trying to get a new source of low-interest money available to finance some of these projects to house people in the city and the metropolitan area.
Let's talk about your program then, the Enterprise Loan Fund. Exactly what is the Enterprise Loan Fund and what does it do to address this issue?
Well, the Enterprise Loan Fund is trying to address the issue of making housing for low-income families affordable. And one of the major problems in making housing affordable is the cost of money. So the Enterprise Loan Fund is a fund that will be capitalized by private deposits or private investments, and people then can deposit money into an account at Baltimore Federal, and this money, because it's coming in at low interest rates, will be available to nonprofit organizations who are going to be rehabbing housing or doing new construction for low-income families, and the money is available to them at below market rate interest. This permits them then to keep the rent payments down or the mortgage payments down, the monthly payments down, for people to be able to afford housing.
Now that sounds good in theory, but how applicable is it? Is it working? Is this plan working? It's an ambitious plan, I might add.
It is an ambitious plan, and it is working, and the response from the community has been terrific. We have raised over $1 million in one account that we have at the Enterprise Foundation. The account at Baltimore Federal Financial, and I have a brochure here, is available to individuals who can go to any branch of Baltimore Federal and open up an account and know that their money is going to be on deposit there for them. It's safe, it's secure, it's insured, It is there when they need it back, and they will get a 3% interest on it. And by making this deposit, you are then saying, my money can be used to improve my community and to help others have decent housing.
Not to take the devil's advocate spot here, Ms. Waxter, but the program sounds somewhat philanthropic. And you're trying to make philanthropists out of everyone. Who is your program designed? What kind of people are you appealing to? Who is going to loan you money at below interest rates lower than what they could get, say, if they deposited this money in a regular bank?
Well, I think it's interesting because you might assume that lots of philanthropic organizations would do this, and they have. We've had many religious organizations, many foundations support us by making this kind of investment. But the program is really designed to appeal to individuals, to appeal to the entire community. And we have also achieved that, so that individuals are making deposits of anywhere from $500 to $10,000, $15,000, knowing that this is a way that they can finally do something to help people have better housing in the city.
And what does the person who makes that investment, makes that loan to your organization, what does that individual get in return?
That individual gets in return a 3% return on their money. They know that their deposit is there to be renewed if they want to after a year, or to be taken back. And they know that they are making this kind of investment, which is so important to have stable communities and to have families be able to become more self-sufficient. And having a decent house is a very important factor in people's lives that can help them turn their lives around.
Ms. Waxter, one final question. We're out of time. In terms of bridging the gap and filling the void that has been created by the decreased federal monies that have been available, how much of an impact is the Enterprise Loan Fund program having on the housing situation here in the metropolitan area?
Well, housing is very expensive. We hope to raise $10 million by this program. We have raised to date less than $1.5 million. The only way we're going to be successful, the only way this program is going to have a major impact is if it becomes something that the community all participates in. And by that, I mean as individuals, by individuals who are willing not only to make a deposit, but to say to their church group or to any organization, neighborhood association, civic organization, my organization can also become a depositor in this account. So there are all kinds of ways, but the important thing, I think, is for each of us in this area to see it as something that we can participate in and that we can encourage others to participate in. So we want lots of depositors.
For more information, where should someone call?
For more information, I can be reached at 964-0552, and that is the Enterprise Foundation's number.
Okay. Ms. Waxter, we want to thank you for taking that time with us this afternoon.
Thank you.
And that is today's Newscap. There's more of City Line coming up next. Stay with us and do have a good afternoon.
Back. This is an action-packed City Line today. I don't know if you remember or not, but about 6 months ago, we had a young man to accept the City Line Weight Loss Challenge.
That's right.
He weighed about 500 pounds, and he wanted to lose approximately 300. So we have him on the phone right now, and we're going to do an update with him. His name is Kashum Colbert. Kashum, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Great. Jackie Hall here.
How are you?
Fine.
How you doing, Kashum?
I'm doing fine, and you?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad.
That's good.
How we doing so far?
I'm doing okay. I mean, slow but okay.
What kind?
The constant weight loss.
Okay. You want to tell us a little bit about how much you're talking about, how much you've lost?
Well, I've lost totally, I'm weighing 410 now.
Uh-huh.
So that's 90 pounds since I've started.
Great.
But that's about 40 pounds since we talked last.
Okay.
So what did you do to lose that? What kind of regimen have you been on?
Well, I've been doing a diet 2 times a day and having a main meal and just exercising. I've been swimming. I swim about 1.5 miles a day. And I do a regular walking, about 10 blocks, and regular home exercises that I try to do every day. You know, and that's basically what I've been doing.
Now, as I recall, that's a major change from before in terms of particularly the exercise. You really weren't able to do too much before.
That's true. That's true. I could only walk about a block. But now I'm, you know, really doing better.
Great.
And a good change.
Now, that's an ongoing part of your regimen. Is there any schedule in terms of a major goal you have coming up soon?
Not really. I'm trying to break over 120 pounds by summer. That may be the highest goal I've set right now. I'm trying to get into school, too. I want to be in school by next September.
Okay, now when you were with us, you were supervised, right?
Yes.
You had some help, which was good for encouragement. What about it now? Are you doing this independently, or are you still involved with the couple that was here with you?
Well, more or less, I'm independent, but I still rely on the couple that I was working with, Herbert and Ethel Garnes. Before I was staying with them, and I was being supervised by them, but now I'm on my own. I have my own place, so it's much harder because I don't have anybody watching me, and you have to really strive to stay on your own.
Okay, now, but you're
the hardest part about it.
You're still committed.
Yes, definitely.
You're going to hang in there.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, we'll check with you in a couple of months, and we'll see how well you've been doing. Of course, we wish you well.
Okay.
Okay,
Talk
that's
to you soon.
Kashum Colbert.
He's doing so good.
Huh?
I'm glad to hear he's doing so well.
Okay, that's very encouraging, isn't it?
90 pounds, that's a long way down.
Oh, my. And of course, we wish him the best.
Yeah.
What's coming up next?
Well, we've got Harold Anthony coming up, of course, with the entertainment page, and a very special guest.
Yes, and let's walk down and talk about it. Do you know who the guest is?
You're going to tell me.
It's Jody Watley. She's formerly a performer on Soul Train. She and Shalimar. She was a former member of the group Shalimar, and she has a hot number out called I'm Looking for a New Love.
Okay. Well, Kashum Colbert, thanks one more time. We're going to take a break before we go to the entertainment page.
Indeed.
Stay with us.
Said it in concert.
The 117th edition of the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus is coming to the Baltimore Arena on Tuesday, March 17th for 25 thrilling performances through March 29th. If you want to see elephants breakdancing and much, much more, then reserve your seat today. For additional information, simply call 347-2000. Another exciting event will take place at 5:00 p.m. this evening when the Xi Delta Omega chapter of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated presents the famed Harlem Boys Choir in concert. The concert will be held at Havre de Grace High School, 700 Congress Avenue in Havre de Grace, Maryland. Tickets are $5 and additional information may be obtained by calling 679-1205. And with that, I'll have to close another edition of the entertainment page. I'm Harold.
Harold?
Yes, yes.
She was exciting.
Oh, my. She is so talented, and I love the song. Just love it. Because I'm looking for a new one, too.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
But that's another show.
Watch out, man.
But at any rate, in reference to other shows that we've had in the past on City Line, we have gotten letters, just beaucoup letters. And as always, loads of them. As always, we'd like to share those letters with you because we appreciate our viewers who write to us and take the time to tell us what they're feeling. This particular letter is about a show that we had just last week on safe sex. And March 8th, 1987 was very timely and interesting. Families should play a role in educating their children on the importance of safe sex. I firmly agree with Dr. Maupin, who was our guest, that sex education should begin at home and should begin at an early age. And this is from Malcolm Winston of Baltimore, Maryland. And thank you.
Thank you. And the next letter that we have relates to our show, our reunion up on Pennsylvania Avenue. Up on Pennsylvania Avenue was like being home again. I lived on the avenue for a number of years. Anyone who is only aware of the new developments had to see the pictures and hear stories of what was Sunday, February 8th, City Line. Hope you continue not to forget that part of our roots and hometown. Thank you for a most memorable day. That's from LLO Loman in Baltimore.
Okay, and our third letter is from Mrs. Emma Young of Edgemere, Maryland, and she writes, I would like to know what became of the Brown Buddies and the Sweethearts of the Rhythm Band. I would like to get in touch with them. Thank you also for the wonderful program you're bringing to the public. That particular show also dealt with Up on Pennsylvania Avenue. And if anyone in our audience has an answer to that as to what happened to the Brown Buddies and the Sweethearts of the Rhythm Band, please call us and let us know so that we can give that information to Mrs. Emma Young.
That's right, so we can pass it on. And, of course, we want to ask you to do just the same as these folks did. Invite you to write into City Line if you have a question, a comment, or a show idea, or some things that we're doing right or wrong. Address it to City Line, WJZ-TV, Television Hill, Baltimore, Maryland, 21211.
Okay, what's coming up next week?
Next week, we're going to be talking about cases of discrimination. You know, it's a topic that comes up over and over again, and we're going to have some very interesting folks there to tell us about their experiences.
And if you in our audience has had a problem with a case of discrimination and you believe that you were indeed discriminated against, call us now to become a member of our studio audience at 481-1313. We'd like for you to be here and share your case with us as well.
That's right. That ought to be a very interesting show because there are a number of things in the news right now that are raising some questions about whether or not we've really made much progress in the last 10 or 15 years.
And not only that, there are a lot of people who honestly feel they're being discriminated against but can't put their finger on it and have no recourse for resolving it.
Well, we'll look for you next week. Thanks for being with us today. I'm B.T. Bentley.
I'm Jackie Hall. Have a good Sunday.
Bye-bye.